when we organized this conference, I talked with a lot of investors and also the project owners. The security issue become so important for all the projects, and also for the whole ecosystem. Security is the top one. So that's the reason we have this panel. I'm so happy to have everyone today. We already have a introduction, but I still want to, everyone can give a self-introduction, who you are, what you are doing, why you come to this panel. I will start from maybe William.
I'm William Slater. I've got my own company, Slater Technologies. I teach. I've been teaching at the Illinois Institute of Technology for about 10 years. And I teach data center architecture, data center operations classes, and data warehousing. I'm also, this summer I started I had 33 internships in blockchain and blockchain development. And so it's been an exciting summer, and this is kind of like a dry run for a class I'll be teaching at School of Applied Technology at IIT. Spring of 2019. Other exciting stuff I've done in my career. If anybody remembers President John F. Kennedy, I worked on the automated fulfillment of one of the lessons learned that came out of the Cuban Missile Crisis. It was called WINNIX. And that's good news. The bad news is it took 15 years to get online, and I was in the first crop of officers that got to work on it. So this is what I did when I first got out of college. Programmed a lot in Jovial. That was the language of the day from that system. Over the years, I've programmed in a total of about 38 languages, done probably 12 or 15 different types of databases, a lot of networking, service management, cybersecurity, and other big responsibilities I've had was I was the first manager 10 years ago of the gigantic Chicago cloud data center in Northlake over there. I got into blockchain going all the way back to about 2012 or 2013. At a cybersecurity conference in 2014, I made a very detailed presentation about Bitcoin and blockchain at Illinois Institute of Technology, and have just been with it ever since. And have really, I'm really passionate about it. I really like the Ethereum platform for development and dApps, decentralized applications. And I not only enjoy doing that, I enjoy teaching that. And I'm right on board with the Chicago Blockchain Project and all my blockchain buddies. Shaun Wave, she's one of the heads of the Chicago Blockchain Project. And our goal is to make Chicago the blockchain capital of the universe. And I think we have the talent and the willpower and the brain power to do it. So I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited I was asked to speak.
Thank you. Adam. So I'll make mine much shorter, but I spent the last several years building with my partner a gig platform, so where people can outsource household services. And through the passion behind a lot of that project has always been to try and build a platform that kind of embraces the social movements and underpinnings of what the future of work actually looks like, and start to prepare infrastructure for how people will succeed in the future. So through the building of that actual platform, really realized some of the underlying issues industry-wide within that kind of freelance space and marketplace in general, and realized that absolutely blockchain can empower a lot of people through those and provide a peer-to-peer solution, which is really what the world needs. So we're now building LaborCrypto, which is a blockchain and tokenized freelance economy.
Hi, my name is Wang. I'm a co-founder of a project called Matrix Huan. Matrix Huan is an asset management platform for cryptocurrency. In traditional investment world, there's, for example, BlackRock Aladdin system manage trillions of dollars. But in crypto world, we don't have such professional platform for investors. So we are going to build professional investment tools to all kinds of investors, including retail investor and institutional investor. Currently, Matrix One provides service such as first and secondary market fund management, risk reporting and risk management, investment strategy following, and also smart trade. So it is a one-stop platform for asset management in cryptocurrency. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm glad to be here. My name is Huan. I'm from academic knowledge industry. Today I'm here to share some academic perspective on the blockchain. So my goal is to detect and fix the security bugs in the blockchain and make the blockchain system more robust. So I hope just now I listen they have built some blockchain platform. Maybe our tool can detect some security bugs in your system. Thank you.
Yeah, how you doing? My name is Shaun. I'm the founder and CEO of ICO Watchdog. So like probably most people in here, I was pretty excited when I got introduced to blockchain. I thought it was, me coming from a software development background, I saw the blockchain as a very innovative kind of technology, much similar to like the World Wide Web. And so, first things first, I jumped into, trading cryptocurrencies. Got immediately overwhelmed by the number of coins and token projects that are out there, and like most people. So I decided to build a company called ICO Watchdog to help investors filter out like the good projects from the bad ones, right? And with the mission of being advocating for the good blockchain projects, because that's going to build a healthier blockchain cryptocurrency, ecosystem. So that was the goal. And again, my background, I'm actually based in Los Angeles, California. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I started developing software at like 14 years old. Ended up getting into finance as well. So I started on Goldman Sachs, building a lot of trading applications. So I have a good kind of overlap of software development and finance, which kind of probably lends itself well to the cryptocurrency space. So again, I'm excited to be here and share what knowledge I know.
Okay, it's fantastic. We have a so strong, group of speakers for this panel. So when we choose our speakers, we prefer to have someone from, academia, the schools, and also the industry, leaders. So, okay, based on our understanding, security is a top, topic in the whole industry. So I would like to maybe everyone can share some experience or topic about what is the top challenge for the blockchain industry about the security issues. I would like to maybe start from Shaun because we came from Los Angeles.
Yeah, so we have a platform product that we call Token Grade, and it's exactly what you would think it is. It's a way to kind of grade these grade tokens. We're not it's similar to kind of movies for cryptocurrencies, but we're actually doing audits on ICOs. We analyze the token, and that consists of like a smart contract audit, if you ever heard of that. So that's kind of looking at the actual source code of a smart contract, and then just and then basically making sure there's number one, there's no security vulnerabilities, and also that the smart contract is actually abiding by the rules set up in the token offering, right? So that's a big thing as well. So we look at like security and transparency, and so that's like when you look at blockchain security, and blockchain is kind of like a massive term because there's blockchain, there's wallets that interact with the blockchain, there's miners that mine on the blockchain if it's proof of work, there is cryptocurrency exchanges that manage people's wallets. So there's a lot of points of kind of like there's a lot of entry points for someone to like hack something. So when someone says the blockchain's been hacked, it's a security hack, it could be in a lot of different ways. So one challenge I think that I think is a big challenge is like smart contracts, right? So that's usually what happens is someone wrote bad code, they deployed them on the blockchain, a bunch of people said, okay, cool, this bad code is in a token. The token got distributed to a bunch of people. That token then gets listed on a cryptocurrency exchange, and then some hacker, and that time says, okay, cool, you know what, this token has a low security vulnerability, I can kind of steal a bunch of tokens from this cryptocurrency exchange based on based on taking advantage of a vulnerability that they saw. So that's one thing, is like, software developers have to write their code. And that's a big challenge because there's a lot of software developers out there. How do you get them to do that, right? So some of the solutions that are out there right now are like, there's a project called Open Settlement, which kind of like has a template of smart contracts that you can use, right? So you can basically reuse existing code that's already been audited, and there's less of a chance. And then basically you're building on an existing platform already of well-vetted code, and you're just adding your kind of like, your differentiating code to that. And that helps kind of reduce vulnerabilities and things of that nature. But smart contracts are a big challenge right now.
Okay, for me, I have a different view. I think for the security issues in the blockchain are from two aspects. First is the smart contracts. The other one is the blockchain system itself. And I know a lot of people doing something for the detect security bugs in the smart contracts. But I think the underlying blockchain protocol is more fundamental. And I think we are lacking some specification, which is some expected design or behavior or property of the blockchain system. When people know the blockchain is from the Bitcoin system, but when you read, it's very easy to read the Bitcoin paper. You can understand the high level of the Bitcoin. But when you implement the blockchain, yes, it's very hard for you to implement a blockchain system like the Bitcoin. So we think the top challenge is we are lacking of some specifications for implement the blockchain.
Yeah, so we can pass the mic to everyone. Okay, thank you.
I think the top security issue is how to protect people's crypto asset. We often heard that smart contract or project being hacked, exchange being hacked, so people lose money. Also the 51% attack. I'm from a traditional investment world. I just use an example in investment firm. One of the biggest risks in investment is counterparty risk. So the counterparty can default or run away for different reasons. For example, exchange being hacked, so investor lose money, so exchange got bankrupt. So this, in Matrix 1, we are trying to find a solution to remove this counterparty risk. You can use a smart contract and multi-signature wallet to let people, the investor, to hold the underlying asset in their own wallet instead of transfer their wealth in a centralized exchange. So that's we are trying to do right now. And the other thing is for data security and privacy. We can also use the blockchain technology to protect those. Again, in investment world, we need accurate and unchangeable tracking record for fund managers. But on the other side, we need to protect fund managers' privacy. For example, their portfolio holding. And we can also find a solution from blockchain. There's a JP Morgan column technology. It can separate the public data and private data. And so that the fund manager tracking record cannot change and accurate, and also protect their own privacy.
I think the biggest challenge upon us is actually execution, right? So we've been in this theory stage for quite some time. A lot of people raise a lot of money, and it's time to actually deploy technology and build. And I know from our experience, it's really balancing the architecture of the actual product. So in the actual building of it, we spend a lot of time balancing privacy versus accountability. And that seems to be a real challenge for us as we develop the product and the actual platform itself. So when you're on your private chain, public chain, what's going where, what are the entry points where you have security, liabilities and executing on the business model that you said you were going to deploy?
From my perspective, I see ignorance being a chief problem as far as the security threats, because people that try to deploy the technologies, various technologies in blockchain, if they're ignorant or inexperienced, it can be a huge liability. A person might say, well, okay, let's just get a blockchain machine in here and we'll start developing things. Well, if they've only got one machine that's creating blocks in the Ethereum blockchain, then they run and that machine goes down, that's a single point of failure. So you have to be smart about setting up the infrastructure. Also, I'll bring up, it's not a pleasant thing to talk about, but back in November, there was a user named DevOps199, and he deployed a smart contract with a few coding flaws in it, and the next thing you know, he had sucked $150 million out of an Ethereum account, and it was all accidental. So the nature of the dApps and nature of Ethereum solidity coding is such that if you don't do this in an egoless way and have people that are smart or smarter than you check your code and very thoroughly, then you can make huge mistakes, because I haven't met very many perfect programmers. Also, things have to be auditable. So this is going to be a huge boon for the people that are in the auditing industry. And finally, the last comment I'll make about security is that if people, if you don't manage if you don't manage your private keys well, that is a huge gaping hole into the whole Ethereum ecosystem. So people need to manage that well. And all this gets back to ignorance. If people are not properly educated, they won't do secure practices like secure coding practices, secure key management, secure infrastructure design. So we have ways to go to make the world more secure by standing out with ignorance. Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
On me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll through. Can you rate from like where it is?
So you are asking, to rank the security issues. We mentioned smart contracts, right?
You mean most importance in like the biggest like impact?
No, the biggest risk. To where that there was the most exposure.
Well, the most exposure would be like a protocol hack, right? Like if someone were to successfully like hack the Bitcoin blockchain,
Okay.
that would be like the biggest one. I think.
But is that the most probable?
Yeah, that's what I was asking. Like,
Okay.
are you talking about so the most probabilistic is probably which if you want to couple the both,
Okay.
a cryptocurrency exchange hack would probably be the most likely to cause the most impact, because people will lose money, and then that
And it
cryptocurrency.
happens the most often.
Yeah, and then well, obviously people won't so hackers are only going to spend time hacking if there's some benefit, right?
Right.
And so hacking a cryptocurrency exchange is like, which is we call cryptocurrency exchanges, but they're just trading platforms,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Right. The real exchanges are the ones going crypto to fiat. So yes, a hacker hacks a centralized trading platform, gets a bunch of wallet private keys because they weren't stored properly. That's going to cause the biggest impact. Though in that situation, they're not really hacking the blockchain. They're hacking a piece of software
Sure.
that was storing information in the wrong way, right? So yeah. So.
Is centralized versus decentralized, is one more risky than the other?
I can do that. Centralized is more risky, but it's more user friendly also, right? Decentralized is kind of where I think where the crypto maximists wanted to go. But then there's other issues, KYC, who you're doing business with, you don't want to be exchanging money with a terrorist and stuff like that, So those are the other issues that happen. So there's kind of like trade-offs, right? So that's kind of where we are.
I want to say, for the security issues, some of them are not blockchain project only. For instance, for the exchange, we set up, all the applications on on a server in cloud. So we will, there's a lot of, traditional security issues like, server attack, right? That's not blockchain only. So in the whole.
So it's there are traditional security issues in blockchain, projects like exchange. Okay, we set up the server in cloud. Okay, so the attackers can attack the servers, and also we have some blockchain specific security issues like smart contract you mentioned, and also some special algorithms. So it's kind of mixed. I'm so glad that William mentioned a keyword auditing, right? Code auditing, and also that's I think for the whole industry we are kind of lack the programming standards, all the regulations, the trading regulations. That's a big issue. So I would like to maybe everyone can share your parts with our audience about the standards and regulations, how we can protect the whole industry through the regulations and the standards. Maybe I can start from Williams.
Can I ask, are there industry standards within the blockchain universe? No?
Well, it's rapidly evolving, to answer your question real quick. And I'll put a shameless plug for ISACA, which I've been a member of for over 10 years. It's actually, the international headquarters is out in Rolling Meadows, northwestern suburb in Chicagoland. And I've held the CISA certification for almost 10 years. It's organizations like ISACA, and that's ISACA, that are rapidly advancing standards of auditability. Also, there are numerous auditing organizations. This is going to get a lot of attention. When I did my cybersecurity Master of Science degree 5 years ago, one of our exercises was to go out and find all the best practices of audit certification organizations. And there's a little mini presentation out there. It's only about 15 slides or something. But if you go to billslater.com/writing and do a keyword search in audit, you will see a small presentation out there about audit professional organizations. If I was going to have somebody come in and audit my blockchain, I would want to know that they had credentials like this. Okay.
From a regulatory standpoint, I think you can kind of bucket things into two kind of realms, right? You have, privacy and personal privacy, which is unfortunately here domestically, as well, a lot of us learned this weekend, it is very unregulated and probably needs a lot of tightening up. But I see that as basically a big opportunity for us to kind of shape it as we move forward, given that we're on the brink of blockchain becoming more of an adoptable technology. The other side of it is inhibitive, because you have the industry side, right? So you have the medical industry, for example, which has immense implications of impact from blockchain, but you have existing regulations like maybe HIPAA or something, right? And maybe there's a lot of cases where you can have a big impact with an idea that's a blockchain-based business model. However, those existing regulations might even prevent that from taking shape because of some privacy concerns. So again, you have the privacy concern and accountability concern of how you implement something given the existing regulations. I mean, financial securities have been a good example of how the regulations fit in, but all we're doing there right now is almost like bucketing everything into existing asset classes, and we know that that's not really even scratching the surface of what a lot of the intent of the technology itself was gaining traction, right? So I think the biggest thing we can do as a group now, and as William elaborated, there's a lot of this going on, is that co-ops and people getting together who are building stuff and at the forefront of the industry, putting their heads together and getting in a room with regulators and helping shape how this can be transformative. There's a lot of boogeyman kind of arguments out there right now about regulatory bodies, but it might not be the case. It's more so coming to fruition that it's not the case. that regulators are willing to get together with multiple states on issues like money transfer licenses or something like that that's so archaic and very inhibitive to expansion of what we can do with blockchain. But I think co-op collaboration amongst business leaders and entrepreneurs and regulators is the best way to circumvent and move the technology into the future.
This industry is lack of regulation. We know there's a lot of scam, Ponzi scheme, and market manipulation. And we definitely need a regulation and rules to determine who can do, for example, who can do ICO and governance, how the money spent for the ICO teams. And from technology side, we also need laws to govern the smart contract. We need a standard to write a smart contract and also validate those smart contracts. And if things happen, bad things happen, who takes the responsibility? And we know for example, for validate a smart contract, there is a project called Cisek. It's led by Professor Gu from Columbia University. Basically, their technology is to use artificial intelligence to determine the true requirement of the smart contract, and then find any bug of the smart contract to make sure the contract is bug-free.
I think in the early days, maybe there are no regulation standards in the blockchain, but currently I noticed from governments they have a lot of regulations like the data protection policies, and also the cryptocurrency are already classified into the financial products and also included in the financial market. So I think they should have more regulation standards based on the development of the blockchain in the future.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say. I think when William initially stated that the auditing services will be very much needed in this space, there definitely needs to be a standard for what a smart contract abides by, and that would probably need to be regulated and probably by some type of government body. So that hasn't been instituted yet at all. At least I haven't seen it yet, but I think that's going to be very necessary in this space.
Yeah. Does any of the, if you get audited, have a smart contract audit, and you get hacked, is there any liability to the company that did the audit? And has there been any smart contracts that have been audited that have been hacked?
Yes, and so first, to answer your first question, probably not. Probably the only liability is there. No one's going to trust their audits anymore, right? So, I mean, people only go to KPMG because they got the name, right? Anyone can do a KPMG audit. But
You're not liable.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, gotcha. So then the second thing is, what was the second question again?
Has anybody gone through an audit and actually got hacked
Yeah,
afterwards?
so definitely. And sometimes you could go through an audit, but what happens is for specifically if you're talking like the Ethereum blockchain, like Solidity, which is the compiler for Ethereum smart contracts, like that, the compiler itself can have vulnerabilities, right? So then that means if you compile the smart contract code at one specific time and point in time, and it was like all clear, and then someone found bugs in the Solidity compiler like a year later, like those previous smart contract codes can have some vulnerabilities in there, and that happens right now.
I'll let him ask a question.
And this might be an ignorant question, but is there a possibility, if any, and when do you believe there might be, where AI can be weaponized against blockchain, any blockchain application, exchange, wallet? Any comments on that?
Okay, so maybe add some comments to the first question. Basically, smart contract is a program. It's a piece of code.
Sure.
So I don't know how many of you guys, come from engineering background. For all the, program for the code, there may be some, bug there. So even though we can audit that, but maybe still some small problem. And for the second question, AI, have we heard a lot of AI applications on blockchain, but AI pretty much is machine learning on the top of the training data, right? So it's cannot be centralized. So a lot of blockchain AI projects they train off chain. So their application is on the top of the train, but the training is off chain. So let's talk that after this panel. Okay.
Is there a reason to be audited and then re-audited on a regular basis to make sure that you're not exposed to any exposure through? I mean, does anybody go through that process and then?
You mean audit, release the smart contract, and audit again?
Yeah, well, then you audit periodically, maybe every 6 months or a year or something like that, or.
So auditing the source code, that wouldn't happen because you would just audit it once, and once that smart contract is deployed to the blockchain, it's immutable, so it can't be changed. What you would probably audit is kind of like the chain analysis, what they call chain analysis.
Okay.
So it's kind of like the events that are happening when that smart contract is running, because you can do a security audit, and yeah, this is a very secure smart contract, but that doesn't mean the smart contract is behaving in a credible way, right? So that's another part, right? And that's when you leave like exit scams and stuff like that, where people are funneling money to like different accounts and stuff like that, even though the security audit for the smart contract checked out.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Question here. Yeah, so that's what you just described is the difference between safety and security. So when we do a security audit in computer science, we make assumptions about the safety of the system because of how computers actually work. In the blockchain, it's inverted. So the systems are very secure by default, but they're not necessarily safe. So one of the difficulties in finding an auditing firm to audit your smart contract is that most auditors will understand the security principles very well, but they'll have a difficult time evaluating the safety of the contract itself. And that can be very expensive. That's what people pay me to do. So it can be very complicated to determine if the system is actually safe or not. So I think that you're kind of conflating some ideas there, just so we're clear. Like a normal security audit, that won't tell you if your game and your mechanisms in your smart contract actually behave the way you want them to.
I think we are running out of the time, so maybe we finish this. If you want to add some comments.
Yeah, I know that I don't want to run over. I know we just got the 1 minute warning. The only comment I would make is that everybody up here is very knowledgeable. Some of us about some things, the same things, and some of us about very different things. I'm sticking around till 8 o'clock, and I'm a friendly nerd. So let's talk about it over beer or wine or whatever, and I hope to meet a lot of you.
I'll be hanging around, so anybody who has questions or discussion, I'd love to have it.
I'm here too.
I'll be standing next to William.
Okay, thank you for everyone.